Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Unconditional Love Takes Courage. And I welcome you, Naiah, Nikole. You guys already know me. If you don't know me, then hi. This is my husband, Emric. Do you want to introduce yourself?
You just did. This is Emric, the husband.
Okay, all right. Well, here's the husband. All right, so I want to get this podcast started, or this video podcast started, by asking you some of the questions that I think most people want to know about you and our relationship. So, I'm gonna pull out my questions because I don't remember. So, okay, cool. Now I remember. Okay, so when we first met, you didn't know that I was trans, right?
Correct.
Did you? Okay, so at any point in time, was there ever a point where you were like, there's something a little off with her?
Besides that, you're a little crazy, but besides that, no.
So you could tell that I was crazy on the first date?
No. No, I'm just messing with you. No, I mean there was nothing specifically out of place.
So there was like, at no point in time you were like, oh, she's a little tall, or oh, her hands are big, or
No.
her voice is weird, or she kind of looks manly. No suspicion.
No, I've dated girls taller than you, so it's not like a criteria, and then like or a sign or whatever, and then your voice is normal voice. I mean, I don't know what to say, but your voice is just normal, and then yeah, no, there was nothing that first there was nothing that I could tell or point at or things like that, and then second, I wasn't in a mindset at all,
Yeah.
so I wasn't looking for cues either,
Yeah. So
you know.
okay, you growing up, so people understand like who you are and where you come from. You're from France,
Correct.
and you grew up in a small town, a small farm. Like, what would you call it?
A village.
A small village.
Village would be the right term.
Like, how many people lived in this village?
I don't know, like probably like 30 houses,
30 houses?
maybe, if that.
Really?
Yeah.
So how many people went to school, like at your school?
There's no school.
What do you mean there's no
You
school?
go to you go to the city to go to school. Like we had a 30-minute bus ride to go to school.
Okay, so you did go to school with a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just your town, village,
Yeah.
place did not have a
Everybody, yeah, all the surrounding areas of that town, or it's not really a city, would go to school in that town.
school. What is it called?
Which one?
Where you grew up?
The village?
Yeah.
OX?
It's called OX.
Uh-huh. OEX with a 2 dot on the E. I know, it's French stuff.
Okay,
It's in the Alps, like
okay,
French
cool.
Alps, yeah.
All right, so the French Alps. And being from this place, did you guys have gay people
I'm sure we do, but
that you can
not
remember?
not that I grew up with or remember that, oh, I know these people are gay. Like,
So growing up, there was no people that you were like, oh, this is gay, or
nah.
so then least trans.
Just like it was just the joke in a way in the sayings, like, oh, this is gay, But it's like when you learn something that you don't know what it means, you make sense of it as you grow up with it. So
Okay. What
it's like,
time-
oh, acting a little like effeminated would be like, it's like, oh, this is gay in a way. I mean, I'm serious. It's
No,
like
no.
it's old school, like rural France we're talking about.
I mean,
So
I-
it's not very like it wasn't very developed in terms of communications, and the media wasn't talking about it. Like nobody was talking about it. So it's like there was no information at all. So I didn't grow up knowing someone who was gay. I mean, I don't remember the first time I met someone and I knew I understood what gay meant.
So I know that we've talked about this in our private conversations, like talking about how trans wasn't a thing either. So At what
even
age?
Yeah, even less.
Yeah. So at what age was trans exposed to you, would you say? Like when you first kind of understood what trans was?
Like, it's hard to answer because I can't remember the age really, but I think the first time that the concept of trans was showed to me was more like cross-dressing.
And how was that showed to you? Or how did you, like, how were you
I
exposed
have
to
no
it?
idea.
How old were you then?
I don't know.
Like
I
20
really,
years old?
no, I don't. That's the thing. Like, you're asking me something, I have no idea how to place this.
So what
I'm gonna say, like, the transsexual term has existed, and I know I've heard it before because it's the same in French too. So I've heard that term before. Didn't know what it was, didn't know what it meant. I just heard it. And so in my understanding, I thought that was cross-dressers. Didn't know what a cross-dresser was. I'm just trying to make a definition of my mindset at the time.
Yeah.
It was like, guys dressing up as girls.
And that's it.
But that's it. And the thing that it was not really, you know what? It's like, it was all mixed with drag queens, it's all mixed up, right? So I remember a movie, Priscilla, Princess of the Desert?
Jungle?
Is it?
Yeah, Priscilla.
Princess of the Desert, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And so
I should probably know this movie.
I think that movie came out, I don't know when it came out, but I think he was around the World Cup in France, so 98. Because there was a music in that movie, and then it was done during the World Cup. I'm pretty sure I'm messing up with the dates and stuff. But I was 18 at the time.
Okay.
The World Cup was 18.
Okay.
The movie, if I watched the movie at that time, I was probably between 15 and 18 or something like that. I was still living there because I left there when I was 18. So I was like left living there. I was coming back because I was going to school like in a city but probably, teens, I would say. And so that movie, it was like, oh, it's people having fun on a bus. That's what I remember of the movie. I need to watch it again. But it's people having fun on a bus and then dressing up, and it's dudes and dressing up and white. So it was closer to like a cirque than actual people living their lives.
Okay. But for you,
it was like more like a performance.
But that's what you understood as being trans, maybe, or transsexual, transvestite.
Yeah, it was like a performance.
That's what it was.
Like someone, yeah.
So, okay. So
for me, it was as close. It's funny, what's his name? Like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay.
Mrs. Doubtfire, right?
Yeah.
That's the same on the same level for me as trans.
Yeah.
When he dresses up and all that, right?
Yeah.
It's like the same level. So that was my understanding.
So the reason why I even wanted you to share that is because obviously you growing up, you didn't really have an explanation or didn't really know what trans was, right? So when you met me, at that point, by then, did you know that what it was to be trans and that you could actually have operations?
No.
Like you can actually have like the operation I had, for example. Did you know by then, which this was like 2 years ago, right? So I mean, let's talk about when I first came out to you. Okay?
Sure. But like just to add to my experience, right? I discovered later after I came to the U.S. So I came to the U.S. in 2011, right?
How old were you then?
31.
Okay.
And I don't remember when, but then like dating, for example, like on dating apps or whatever, now there was like profiles that was saying transgender or TS or whatever. And I'm like, what they're talking about? So then you Google and then you're like, oh, okay. You know, so that's when I learned that I guess people would live that way.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. I mean,
yeah.
it's just like, you know what I'm saying?
So now you
So
found
it's
out
like,
that
oh, okay, I guess. I mean, it's because it's the U.S. I guess they're modern or whatever. You know, like I'm sure there is trans people in France. That's the thing, but it's like
you didn't actually get
I've
super.
never met someone in. I might have. That's the thing. It's like I might have, but I've been so oblivious until 2 years ago. I'm gonna say that I could have been around gay people, trans people, whatever. I would not know.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I couldn't point them out. Like it's just no way.
Okay, so let's talk to people about when I first came out to you, right?
Sure.
So we went on a lot of dates.
Yeah,
Like before I came out to
probably
you.
5 or 6.
Yeah,
probably
so
something like that.
we spent a lot of time together, and I mean, overall, what did you think about me? Like, you thought I was pretty, or you thought I was nice? Like, what did you think about me overall as a person before?
Yeah. Well, most of it happened on the first date. I mean, it got better and better, of course. But our first date, I don't know if you want to talk about this or you want me to
You can
to
talk about it.
But our first date was like 5.5 hours, right? So it's a long date because usually dates. I mean, I don't know about you, but the dates I had, it's like an hour lunch, whatever, and then. You know, if it's nice, it's nice. If it's not nice, then you can, okay, bye.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on long dates before, but I feel like the difference between your date and the dates that I had before, the date that we had was like really, really intimate.
It was really deep. Yeah. I mean, you can have a longer date or whatever, and then you move and then you do other stuff.
Yeah.
But sitting down and having the conversation that we had, talking about all the stuff that we talked about.
Okay, so
I'm sure you're gonna talk about it.
So to give you guys a little like background on that, so when we first met, I didn't think I was at a point in my life. We met so we met on Tinder, and I kind of ghosted him for like 3 months.
Sure.
But I just didn't want to be dating anyone or go on a date with somebody while it was like the holidays. So it's like Halloween was coming up. I like to dress up and go out. Here in Las Vegas, it's freaking like the best holiday to celebrate. So I wanted to do that single. And then Christmas was coming around, and I didn't want to have somebody that I was dating with and do all of that and have to give him a present. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll like hit the guys that I was talking to, which was like you and like I think 2 other guys. And I was like kind of interested in. So I remember right after Christmas, we had terrible Christmases. Both of us had terrible. I think I had the worst Christmas.
Definitely. Mine was not terrible. It was just a little boring, but
oh, okay.
not terrible.
Okay, well, mine was terrible. But so I remember the day after Christmas, I messaged you. And I was like, do you want to go on a date? Like, pretty much like, hey, it's Naiah, let's go out. And I remember I just want to be very like fast. Let's meet, let's talk, let's see if this is even it. I was ready to date coming into the new year, So we met on the day after, we met on the 29th for the first date, right?
29, yeah.
Yeah, the first date was the 29th. And I remember I was like, I just want to pour my whole heart out into this date and tell him everything about me except that I'm trans.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, okay, me not coming out to you as trans on the first date, do you think that was wrong? Like, a lot of guys would flip out, because, they've been tricked or whatever. How do you feel about that?
No, I mean, with the retrospect on it, I think it's better that it happened that way.
Why?
Because I had no knowledge, right? And so if you tell me something that I have no knowledge on, am I going to change my behavior because of this information?
What do you mean by change your behavior?
Well, am I going to change my outlook on you based on that information?
Do you think that you would have?
I don't know.
You might have?
I don't know. How would I know?
Yeah, I know. Like, there's no way to really know, but
I don't know.
based on what you knew then, do you think that you could have probably ran away because you would have got scared, or you would have been?
But that's the thing. It's like I didn't know. So then the thing is like,
So okay, hold
if
on.
you tell me at that point, then I'm basing my thinking on my knowledge, and it would have been wrong.
Which is that I like to dress up for fun, right? That's what you
Well,
knew before.
first you would be pre-op because I didn't know that post-op was a thing.
Yeah, so you would have thought that I had like a ding-a-ling.
Yeah, that's the only thing I knew at the time.
Yeah.
That I learned from here.
Yeah.
So it's like, so then you tell me that, then I need to process that information, and it's like now it changes the outlook of the date or not, or.
Do you think that it would have changed your outlook on me on the date if I would have been pre-op? Honestly.
It could have. Probably, I'm gonna say pre-op or post-op. It doesn't matter at this point. Like, it's like.
Well, at this point, but at that,
No. At that point, on
yeah.
the day, it doesn't matter if it's pre-op, post-op, whatever. It doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
It would have been because it changes how you come up on the date. I feel it's like because of my limited knowledge, I would probably either have reacted or kind of listen to you, but at the same time, my brain is like thinking, and I'm like trying to have a conversation and listen to you, but at the same time, it's like turning in the back,
Yeah.
trying to be like, okay, I'm trying to make sense of whatever she just told me. What does that mean? What? And then I'm not paying attention to what we're saying, and then now I'm not going to share as much because I'm going to be too busy in my head thinking and processing about this stuff. So I'm just going to make you talk, and so I can think.
Yeah. So you think, in your advice, like, let's say for guys out there that are probably going out with hot girls that turns out to be, male, trans girls, what kind of advice would you have for them? Like, if they're going out on dates and then they find out that, they're dating a trans person. Like, they haven't fooled around with them, let's just say. But if, what kind of advice would you give them? Like, in that situation, like how to react, what to think about. Like, if you could give yourself advice, right? Would there be anything different that you would have done in our dating?
No, but that's the thing. I didn't know. So our dating was very standard and very, how do you say?
Like normal?
Yeah, normal, standard, like conventional.
Because
it was very conventional. I met you, we went on a date, and on the date, just to situate the date and people understand what happened, because, okay, 5.5 hours, you can go see 2 movies and not talk, and that's 4 hours right there, So no, we actually talked for 5.5 hours, and we shared like a lot of things about where we come from, where we grew up, like our families, religion. We talked about kids.
Yeah, we talked about, because I want kids. And I remember on that first date, I was like, my non-negotiable is kids. Like, do you actually want to have kids? And I remember like telling him, actually on the first date, I remember telling him like, I can't have kids. I remember telling you that.
Yeah,
so what did you think when, because I'm sitting there saying like, oh, I can't have kids, but I want kids. And I remember saying like, even if they're borrowed, stolen, or,
Yeah.
So what were you thinking through your head? Like, that wasn't a signal for you to say like, oh, she's probably trans. That's why she can't have kids.
No, that's the thing. It's like,
what did you think?
Because trans was not on my radar at all. So it's not something I could have think about or thought about. No, the first thing, and I remember asking you, because you told me, oh, I can't have kids. And so I asked you, oh, do you want to talk about it? Like, do you want to talk about it? Like, because I was thinking maybe you had an accident, something happened, like you had something happen, inside, and then stuff happens, all the time. So, And then so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to, she talks about it if she want to talk about it, but I'm not going to force her or whatever. It could be so many reasons.
Yeah, I remember you asking that too, and I was like,
Yeah, and she's like, no, I'd rather
yeah,
not. I'm like,
yeah,
well, I respect that. What if you're like cancer or something, and then you had to remove, something inside, and you couldn't have kids or something? It's not something you want to talk on a first date.
yeah,
But it's, you want to share, hey, I can't have kids,
yeah.
so I don't want to waste your time. If that's something that's really important for you to have kids naturally or like the conventional way.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready to talk about why I can't have kids right now. Like,
Yeah.
if it's important for you, we can talk about it later if it's serious. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
no, I get it. And honestly, I wasn't ready to talk about it because I feel like, for me, I don't like to tell guys, or I didn't like to tell guys back then when I was dating, that, I was trans right away, because I feel like that's the first thing that you think about. And that's the only thing you think about.
Yeah,
after
exactly.
Somebody tells
Exactly.
you that they're trans.
Because it's not
like,
common.
Now you think like penis. Now you think like, am I gay? And so did you, okay, so before I ask this question, right after our first date, so at the time I was working at Dre's nightclub as a cocktail waitress, and I remember you offering to give me a ride home because at the time I didn't have a car. So I had Ubered myself there to that spot. And then on the way out, I was like, okay, bye. You're like, let me walk you to your car. And I was like, I don't have a car. So then you're like, well, do you mind taking, if I take you home? And I was like, well, I have work, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I'll take you. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like this is so nice, but also so creepy, right? But I said yes, got in your car, you brought me home, and I remember I had a shift like to be at within the hour after our date. So we took so long in this date that, all my time went there for all my days. So thank God I was already kind of ready. But anyhow, brought me home, grabbed my stuff, and then I remember you pulling up to dropping me off at work, and I remember being like, okay, bye, I had a great time with you, and I gave you a kiss on the cheek. And then I turned around to walk away from you like, okay, bye. I remember turning around and you grabbed my arm and you pulled me in. You said, you better finish what you started, and you kissed me in the mouth. Oh my God. At that time, I wanted to tell you that I was trans even less, because I was like, oh my God, he's going to murder me.
He's going to be mortified.
Yeah, like he's going to be like, oh, I'm gay, So do you feel like, do you feel that a guy who dates trans women is gay? Do you think that there's a little bit of gayness to it?
I can't talk for other people. It's really hard.
Do you feel like you're gay a little bit?
I don't, because I've never seen you differently than a woman. So it's like, it's really hard for me to.
So like, absolutely not. There's not even like 1 ounce that you're like, okay, like I feel a little gay because I'm dating her. Like I understand she's male. Like, this out of me is, that I never label myself and compare myself to females. I always very, very strict at saying I am male, I'm male, I'm male. I talk about it all the time. Sure. And you're very respectful about it. And you just, even though I say it, for you, you still see me as a woman. Yeah. And what many people would say, like, oh, well, what is a woman and blah, blah, blah. There's a huge debate about it. And I think, it just really depends, like you said, on somebody's view of things. But yeah, no, I'm so glad that we talked about this. I think next time on our next podcast, I really want to talk about when I came out to you and how I came out to you. I mean, we had already had sex at that time. So I really want to know, the feelings that you had right after I came out to you. I mean, we had just gotten done having sex.
In a few hours, we woke up. I mean,
I feel like I was mortified. I was so mortified.
Yeah, I was. You'll know next episode. I can't tell you now.
Well, stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with us. If you guys have any questions for him, or any questions for me, just go ahead and put them down in the comments section and let us know what you guys would like for us to talk about. But yeah, on our next episode, we will talk about when I came out to him, how I came out to him. And yeah, it had happened right after having, so it's a little juicy. So, all right, guys. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time.